Okay, what does the Bible say about weed? Here's the truth. Nothing. There are verses people use for weed, alcohol, drugs, etc. One of the main ones is Corinthians 6:19-20. It says, "Do you not know that your bodies are a temple of the Holy Spirit, who is in you, whom you have received from God? You are not your own. You are bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your bodies." Okay, first of all, that verse was actually talking more about sexual immorality. But if we jump to the conclusion that the main idea is that we should not drink or smoke, we are definitely dumbing down these verses. When we look at things that defile our temple, the Bible mostly refers to things as idol worship, pagan practices, defiling foods, which most people either ignore, overlook, or are completely unaware about it. The Bible does warn against drunkenness, but not the consumption of alcohol or wine. Actually, in some cases, we are commanded to drink wine for holy celebrations. The Bible does not forbid moderate drinking. Again, the Bible does not forbid moderate drinking. Okay, so what about weed? Did they even smoke weed back then? I think they did, but it was most likely not for recreational use and more so for medicinal uses. So does God allow me to smoke weed? Again, I don't believe smoking a joint every blue moon, and I do mean every blue moon, will send you to hell. But if you are still watching this video at this point, you probably smoke more than every blue moon. If you do overconsume weed, I would probably compare it to drunkenness. But more importantly, I believe we can fall into idolatry, which is a much more serious sin. What is idolatry? Extreme admiration, love, or reverence for something or someone. If you consider yourself a weed head, a pothead, I can pretty much bet you have extreme admiration for Mary Jane. I did, believe me. When I was on my sobriety journey, my wife suggested that maybe I only smoke on special occasions with her. And my immediate reaction was like, that sucks. But after pondering on my initial thoughts, I was so disgusted at myself or the thoughts I was having in my head. I realized at that point that I had put weed on a pedestal beside my wife. It was extreme idol worship. The intake of weed itself does not necessarily defile your temple, but the implication and the motivation behind it. Weed is not a physically dependent drug, but more mentally dependent. Even after I cut back and smoked far less, the idolization was still there. I could not wait for the next time to smoke. The anticipation was still there and in the forefront of my mind. My thoughts going on in my head were defiling my temple, more so than the weed itself. In my situation, not only had I put weed on a pedestal by my wife, but more importantly, next to God. The second commandment tells us not to take any idols, and they can come in any form, including weed. I am not bashing anyone for going through their spiritual journey while still smoking. Believe me, this was me for a long time. I gave weed too much of my life, too much of my time, and that time could have definitely went towards God. I went through so many back and forth thoughts in my head. Have I really changed? How can I change all these areas in my life but not change smoking? I quit cigarettes, I quit porn, I quit pagan practices, unclean foods, but I still could just not quit weed. But I came to a point in my journey where I made a promise to God I was not going to put weed before Him. I wanted to be a better husband. I wanted to be a better father. I wanted to be a better worker. And I could not do that if I was under the illusion that I needed weed to live my life from day to day. Okay, to sum things up, the Bible does not specifically mention weed, but if we use a biblical understanding, giving weed a top position in your life, you are making it an idol, which is a sin. If you overconsume weed, it is the same as drunkenness. While that is not really a sin, it still is unfavorable to God, and it can lead to sin. What are your thoughts? Please like, subscribe, share, but most importantly, comment below. Until next time, we are all in this together.